Keegan.
Hey.
Just kind of messing around with the settings on setting up this deal. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. My lens looks really foggy in my preview. I don't know if it's dirty or if it's not focusing. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Just kind of messing with these backgrounds. I wanted, while I sit here and just kind of fiddle around with the settings and everything, I was gonna see if I could. Here we go. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so. Oh, but you know what? That only shows up if my camera's on. Oh well, never mind. I was trying to figure out how to make it so that if my camera is off, you don't just see my name, you see some sort of background there.
Do you have like an actual Zoom account?
Yeah, I do. Yep.
I think you can set your profile picture to the background.
Yeah, I did that. I must have to like restart in order to get it to show up though. But not that. Maybe it'll work for next time. Not that big of an issue. The other thing I'm curious about is how to like easily share. I think what I need to do is download some like actual broadcasting software. Forget the name of it. There's a really cool one that I was trying to check out, but I forget it. Be a little bit nicer than just using Zoom. Allow me to actually like compose the screen and put masks on and everything. Cool. What fun things are you digging into these days, like technology-wise? Are you still just in Ruby on Rails land?
Yeah, pretty much. Been working on very recently, like working on like a personal thing, just trying to try building like a podcast kind of app with Angular.
Oh, cool.
I have something to do. So I'm probably never gonna actually use it though. What if it's a podcast app using Angular? What, like, the idea would be that it just is a repository, houses stuff, or like. So I'm thinking like you can just like drop in like an RSS feed for a podcast, and then it'll just like keep track of them for you, and then let you play the actual media. So.
Pretty cool. Boy. You dig in Angular?
Mm-hmm.
I've been using it a lot.
What backend would you use then?
I don't think it would need any backend.
Oh, cool.
Because I think it would just be like when you load the application, just fetch any new feed, or like just fetch existing stuff, and then, or like new stuff rather, and then like the like saving the actual like URL of the RSS feed could just be done in like local storage and
cool.
stuff.
Are in the Angular world, what do you use to deploy? What
You need to use whatever. I think so. I probably wouldn't go as far as deploying it, just because I don't think it would be that useful, because there's lots of things to listen to the podcast on. So.
Cool. Oh yeah, I wanted to. Oh hey, Cal. I wanted to throw out this as a an interesting idea. So I will share my screen real fast. I think I want to go with this guy. So as possibly another dojo or just an event coming up, I don't know when, I kind of want to do something on micro formats or micro front ends. And I don't know, I could either craft it as a dojo where it's like a working session, or maybe it can be just a talk, but I don't know if you're too familiar with what micro front end services are, but you know, this is a good illustration for it. There's the monolith, the front end, back end, and microservices would mean like every part of your app can be its own little app. You can compose it with like an awesome framework like Partial, or you could do something like you know, kind of put your own architecture together and have it be a bunch of Netlify or Next.js applications. But anyway, I think it could be kind of fun to dig in, and I think it would probably be really fun as a dojo. Like I think we can make it like, you know, people making services that we can compose and whatever. But I don't know. You guys have anybody have experience with micro front ends or know about this? No.
No direct experience. No.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it could be kind of cool. I think what I'd want to do too is like a very easy version of it, to where I'm just essentially composing Next.js applications. And so it might be nice if I could find a Next.js talk, somebody who would want to talk about Next.js, give like a lightning talk maybe before I jump into this. I don't know. Does this sound interesting to anybody? Would anybody be interested in micro front ends?
I'm interested in anything anybody's interested in. If you are interested, then it will be interesting to us.
I got you. I got you. Yeah, it's I've only implemented it in like just demos and testing, but I've never actually put it into the wild. So it's kind of a cool concept. The idea would be like, you know, you can completely isolate a team on a feature, and they don't. They could develop their own siloed application, and then just you know, fit it back into the larger app whenever they're ready to deploy it. Kind of a cool concept, and something that I think could be pretty fun to at least look into, either on like a really surfacey level, and maybe we don't dig in too far. I think I could put a talk on like that, but I don't know. It might also be really fun to actually make it a hands-on type thing as well. But I don't know, that this would probably definitely be a talk that I could use some extra hands on. Anyway, I think we still have a few minutes before you started, but I might jump into things kind of early. Yeah, I think I'll just get us rocking as people come in. This is another thing that I was kind of looking at too, though, real quick. These are like a whole bunch of experiments with React hooks and just other types of things. I'm looking for a way to craft or something I can craft another dojo around. I don't feel like we have done that in a long time, and I'd love to get, especially with like Zoom breakout sessions, I'd love to give us an objective and then break people out into rooms and see what they can come up with. I don't know how to duplicate that in Zoom, but I'd love to try. And in a way, this is just a handful of interesting programming challenges and the way that they were solved. And in fact, we just built a tic-tac-toe game in like 2 events ago with Torin. And this is another implementation on that tic-tac-toe board, if anybody's interested in looking at how another way it could be implemented is. And I think for that one we used Vue, and this dude, I believe, is all in React hooks. So anyway, just kind of trying to look at some ideas for what we can do in the future. I will say this too, coming up in the future, we actually next month, we're going to have a talk on Ruby, which might interest some of you. So look for more information about that to come soon. Okay, I think we can get into it. Let me get rid of these. I've had this tab like open forever because I wanted to talk to y'all about it, so I can finally close it. Feels good. Okay, so before I get into that, so hey everybody, this is Web Geeks. In case you didn't know. We try our hardest to put on this content each month. If anybody is interested in joining us on our Slack communication, I will see if I can grab a link to it. And I actually hate doing this because I feel like Zoom chat goes nowhere, especially after the chat is gone. Just kind of everything is lost. But for this, I think it's kind of appropriate. I'm going to throw the chat or a link to our Slack channel into the chat here. Once I can find where in the heck, yeah, there it is. Zoom controls sometimes get truncated. Here we go. Okay, so I'm going to throw this into So that is an invite to our Slack channel. If anybody is interested in helping us put on these events in the future, anybody wants to do a talk, any of those things, we have a channel on there called User Group Organizing, and it's kind of right now very dominated by web geeks and DSM.js, but anybody that needs help organizing events, hop in there and we can pool our resources together. Other than that, it's just a general chat between a lot of the organizers of the user groups in Des Moines. So anybody is welcome to hop in there. Hopefully that works for you all. And along with that, I'm also going to throw out a link to DSM Web Geeks. Please check us out for future events and DSM.js. I'm going to link it to DSM.js. I kind of feel like their domain was down. I think somebody forgot to pay something.
Yeah, it was in somebody's name that passed away. So
darn. Okay.
Transferred over through their next of kin.
Oh, darn. Okay. Well, disregard that link for now. All right. Okay. So anyway, to start us off, this is again DSM Web Geeks. We try hard to put on an event each month. Please let us know if there's anything specific you want to see or you want to see us tackle. I had just mentioned that I'm trying to put together a talk or an event on micro front ends. If that's something that interests you, please let me know. I'd love some extra help putting that together. So I'm an organizer for DSM Web Geeks, but we are teaming up with DSM.js to pool resources together and try to help put these events on. So hit both of those user groups up if you want to get involved in the community and you want to help out. Knowledge sharing. Our primary focus is just trends and techniques within web development, and we have lots of different formats of the events we put on. Today, it's just a fun talk that I'll give over the next 45 minutes to an hour. Our next event, which will be, and every event is the second Monday of the month. The next event will be in June, and I don't remember the exact date, but it'll be on Ruby. So if you're interested in Ruby, please hit us up. Okay. And you can look for more information on the dsmwebgeeks.com, the website I put in chat, and also our Twitter feed. And I try to keep meetup.com pretty regularly up to date, but that's kind of challenging. And then there's Eventbrite and Facebook and then normal channels as well. Okay. So I think without further ado, we can get into the topic of the night. So today I'm going to talk to you all about, here, let me mute this. I had the music going, but you guys can't hear the music anymore, so I'm going to take that off. Okay, so tonight I'm going to talk to you about Tailwind, and I'm going to try to go from like a no knowledge point to very advanced, more technical use of Tailwind. Just a little bit of background. I am a front-end developer. CSS is kind of like the world I've lived in for a very long time. So I have used just about every CSS framework and written some of my poorly written own frameworks. So so I'm pretty well versed on CSS in general. I'm relatively new to Tailwind. I've used it on some in production projects, but I think it's only been out for like 4 years, and I did not jump on it immediately, just because I had so many other projects tied up into other frameworks like Bootstrap or whatever. But anyway, I've really dug it so far. So let's dig into it and kind of see how it works. So if anybody wants to kind of follow along or pull this repo down and check it out yourself, dsmwebgeeks.com. I put the I did not put the repo out. Oh, no, I didn't put the repo out here, but you can go to our GitHub page, and that's up in the top right-hand corner. And DSM Web Geeks GitHub organization, and then using Tailwind, that's the repo right there. If anybody wants to go through it, but you don't have to have that. So so just follow along if you'd rather. I organized it through a handful of branches. I think stepping through branches in code is kind of like easier for me to conceptualize. So hopefully that works for y'all. I didn't use tags or whatever. So it's just as simple as checking out each branch as you go. So the first thing we're going to start with is our Hello World branch. And I'm just grabbing Tailwind from a CDN and dumping it into a page. And it's going to look like that. It's very simple. The only thing you got to pay attention to is I am using the more updated version of Tailwind, Tailwind 2. And we will talk about Tailwind 2 features later on. They're kind of sweet. Okay, so dumping Tailwind into a project from a CDN is not a good idea. But it, for our purposes, it shows us and illustrates what we need and gets us up and running really fast. So here's Tailwind working in my web page. You can see I have Hello World here, and it's Hello World here. It's obviously not including the boilerplate styles of a browser, and my styles are definitely taking control. And my styles are just these classes that I've added to the body tag and the div tag. And we can edit this dude. So it's BG gray 100. So let's bump it up to 500. And so a thing has happened. So you know that my classes are definitely working. The concept behind Tailwind CSS is that the documentation for your classes or your styles should be mixed in with the markup. This is definitely kind of a departure from how we traditionally think of CSS. Like a long time ago, it used to be that your CSS should just be written in a way that it's semantic, and like this is a div that holds this may be a heading. So maybe this is heading, and that's the only class you have on here. And then all of your heading styles would be buried in a CSS file, and you could go look those up if you want to figure out what needs to be applied. But it doesn't really matter because they should be completely separated. You know, that was the idea. Here in Tailwind, the idea is keep all of the, and I say documentation, but these are just the classes that make up and apply styles to this element so that it's more readable. A developer can hop into whatever project they're working on and immediately see what styles are being applied. This works really well when paired with a component framework like Vue or Angular or React, where you're working with small bits of XML or HTML at a time or template language. And nobody really has to read large files of HTML anymore. So it works really, really well. I dig it. I think it's fine. I think this is a pretty awesome way to work. So I don't mind it at all. You can see kind of some of our styles here. This dude is using CSS variables. So that obviously has some browser support issues. However, it does all have fallbacks. And essentially what you have here is a giant file. I don't know if you guys can see the size. Yeah, so it's 82 kilobytes is its obviously zipped version, but this dude is a huge file that includes pretty much everything you could possibly want. It's a really, really nice utility library. You could liken it to some of the utilities that Bootstrap gives you, some of the utilities like Bulma gives you, but then it just goes way, way further, and you have access to pretty much everything you want. Okay, so that's kind of a brief overview of Tailwind, very surfacey. You would obviously never include Tailwind with a CDN because the included file is humongous, and that's just ridiculous. So instead of that, we can do other things, but first let's build out some layouts. And I'm going to step into 2. Okay. And so I wonder if I also need to yarn. Okay, so now I'm going to grab Tailwind from a local source from let me open up package JSON. I'm going to grab Tailwind from a CDN. Okay. So so when you're installing Tailwind, you just need to make sure that you have PostCSS. PostCSS allows you to do a lot of the things that are just not implemented yet in modern browsers. You can get Tailwind to work with Sass. You still should use PostCSS because it also allows you to do some really, really nice apply rules. And to get those working in most modern stacks, Tailwind documentation, I think is in here somewhere, has, well, wherever it is, has lots of guides on setting it up with whatever stack you're using. It's really simple with a lot of JavaScript stacks as well. So you can see we have auto prefixer, PostCSS, and Tailwind installed, and as long as it's going, we should be able to fire it up. Oh yeah. So I'm going to refresh it. Okay, so so here all I've done, it's the exact same file, the exact same HTML page. I just swapped out the heading with an image. Nothing crazy, nothing great. It's all there, all the same, except I'm pulling it from its NPM package. And you can see that now the size is huge, it's 4 megabytes. And so that's why Tailwind, the one gotcha, the one main thing you got to think about Tailwind is you definitely have to include it in a way that you're excluding the stuff you don't want and you're paring it down to the stuff you only need. I'll get into that further later, but the really awesome thing about this is, I was saying before, like I use a lot of other frameworks like Bootstrap or whatever. You can get Tailwind down to such a tiny file size and include it into your project. And then it's such a nicer and easier development tool for like a long project. It's possible to kind of rewrite everything you're doing and eventually exclude the other libraries that you were using and have this replace Bootstrap or anything else. It's
it's a really, really slick solution, and it's almost worth doing because it's such a better development workflow. But anyway, I've got Tailwind included into my CSS file. And just so that we kind of have our bearings about us, in my demo directory, I have this HTML page and I have my styles, right? I have my node modules, which is where Tailwind is. And here's my CSS file. And in my CSS file, I have some of my own CSS, but I've also included all the Tailwind business right here. And Tailwind is included and then compiled through PostCSS. And when Tailwind is included, it's using these @ rules. And these kind of look foreign, but they're really not. You've used them many times before, like in @media or @import. They're native to CSS, and you can even customize and write your own. Tailwind has done that, and it wasn't really done a lot before because it lacks a lot of browser support. Anyway, what this is pulling in, the base guy is your reset CSS, the very boilerplate normal stuff that almost all CSS frameworks have. Your next components out of the box, not really doing anything with Tailwind. This includes a component called container, and it's just kind of like that component just sets the size of a containing div. Pretty normal concept if you're familiar with like a Bootstrap grid layout. And then the bulk of the styles are all held in your utilities. So I'm taking everything wholesale right out of the box, and I am building it all with this command here. So this is sans any kind of actual build tools. I don't have this project inside of a React. I don't have this project inside of like Next.js or a Laravel mix or anything. This is just out of the box Tailwind, and it comes with its own CLI tool. And again, like you wouldn't do this for production builds, but I'm really showing you the CDN include and this, just to let you know that there are very easy, low barrier to entry kind of avenues to get started on Tailwind. So anyway, what I did, I built this dude, and it has an output, and it pushed everything out to this file here, which is my compressed giant Tailwind, all my classes, everything. And so we can just look briefly at what Tailwind includes to give you an idea of why it's like 4 megabytes out of the box. And older versions of Tailwind were even were actually smaller. I'll get into that in a second. But so you have like spacing classes that deal with the vertical, and then everything is kind of scaled. The scaling is very important to memorize or have helpers to get you through. Anyway, it goes through a ton of stuff, and this gives you an idea of kind of what is in here. Your divide is in here. Your the colors of fonts are in here. Hovers for everything are in here. All that stuff. But anyway, we're not going to go that route. We're not going to do that. We're actually going to continue on to another branch, and here, let me check that out. Oh, fun. this is probably why you don't use branches to do this. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, let me see what's in here. Oh, I wonder if I probably should have used yarn, but that's fine. Yeah, that's what I thought. I think I did everything initially with NP, and I hate that. I always accidentally switch. Better. Okay, so now we can have our package open, and I think that should give us oh, did I not switch? Git check out step 3. Okay, so now I'm going to introduce a build tool, and it's just a very generic, easy build tool so that we this is Vit.js is like super simple. It's just very similar to oh, what's the name of that? The partial, or I forget the name of it, but anyway, it's really super simple. Drop in and get started. NPM run dev, and it gives us a browser window. So here is our local version of this dude, and actually I want to open it up in a browser, but for whatever reason that is not working. That's kind of a bummer, but we can open it here and just look at this fine. I've got, I don't know if you guys can see this, but I have browser preview installed into Viz Code, and it's kind of dope, and it works really well half the time, but a lot of the time it just sits and does nothing. And I don't know if you got to restart Viz Code or what the deal is, but it's kind of a pain when it doesn't work. Let's see if that would work. Yeah, no, man, that's really annoying. Ah, there it goes. Okay, finally. And now I got 2 of them. Okay. So anyway, okay. So here, this is a little bit nicer of a view. So what I'm doing here is really simply adding a little bit more style and form to a website. And I'm just showing an example of what it would take to build out a design using TailwindCSS. And also, we are building this guy with a very simple boilerplate development tools that that just give us a server and a hot model reload so that we can instantly change things and see what's going on the fly. And and it uploaded, or it refreshed, and you can see that this guy has document that at the top here. It'd probably make more sense if I put it into something you guys can actually see. There it goes. Okay. So what I'm doing in Tailwind to achieve this. This took me like very little time. It's super simple. Let's see how we read through it. You've got your BG gray 100. Again, everything's on a scale. If I go into this guy and I start typing BG gray,
so I'm not going to memorize all of the stupid scale stuff that they have in there. So it's really nice to add a plugin into VS Code that does your IntelliSense to add in all of the Tailwind properties. And it's really nice when you go into something like text dash to, maybe it's padding. Oh, okay. I'm not too sure how I trigger it, but, and maybe I'm thinking of the wrong thing, but I'm fairly certain at some point it'll start recommending to you, and it'll also say the pixel sizes and convert them for you into rems. I'm not seeing that in here though, so I think that's kind of odd. I don't know if maybe VS Code was updated and that was removed or what that is. Okay, so anyway, if you're familiar with utility classes in Bootstrap, you'd be familiar with a lot of things in here, like the flex call. But this is actually column and versus flex row instead of an actual column, which you might have in Bootstrap. And so these are all the styles that are normally defined on a desktop or your kind of default styles. Actually, we'd think of these as a mobile version. And then inside of Tailwind, I can override those at certain breakpoints by adding either SM or MD or LG colon, and then the rule or the class or whatever it is. And how this looks in actual CSS, this is something like they're not doing some magic here. This is easily something that you yourself can do, and it's worth looking at. If it will do the styles. Interesting. It's not showing me. This is like a really annoying inspector. That is really weird. Come on, man. Okay, so I don't know why it's not inspecting the styles of this guy. I wonder what's up with that. Not too terribly important, I guess, because we could just look at it this way, actually. So essentially what it's doing is .sm and then escaping the character, and then something. Escape goes that way, yeah. So it's and then when it gets compiled through post CSS, well, it doesn't even matter. You can write this as normal JavaScript, but then, or CSS, but then it reads it like that. So there's not a whole lot of magic to this. This is still normal CSS, but really slick way for me to say that the div of this element, which the div is the wrapping container for everything here, just inside the body, and it has a max width. And I wish that I could show you what the max width equals, but man, that's really silly that it's not showing me my styles. I wonder if I need to restart Chrome. That's kind of a bummer. Okay. Not that that's too important. I guess we can move on from that. So, so all of these styles, a lot of them you're just going to have to memorize to figure them out. Some things are not all that obvious. Tracking always throws me off. I want to call it something else, but tracking is just the spacing between letters. Text SM, and then in some cases we also have text XL. But once you get past that, and as long as you can use some sort of IntelliSense auto kind of
suggestion tools. And also you can go through the documentation and look everything up. And it's very well documented as far as what all of these are. Okay, so there's not a whole lot else there to show off in that dude. I wonder if that's what happened. And then, man, I don't know why it's not inspecting my CSS. Boy, that's really annoying. Okay, so let's hop into, go a little bit further down the rabbit hole of breakpoints. And I can't, unfortunately, inspect this and show you what the breakpoints are in this guy, but maybe I can inspect this guy and show you what the breakpoints are. Yeah, there we go. That's a little bit better. Okay, so then he has 2 breakpoints there. And there. Okay, that's what I was hoping to show you. Apologize for that. I don't know why my localhost isn't showing anything. But here's what I was trying to get at is to implement this class of SM colon, or in this case LG colon, it's just the slash that's in there in the CSS to make this actually work. And at any rate, I will go to this dude and NPM install just to make sure we're up to date, and kill this guy just in case, and yarn. Not yarn, NPM. Okay. All right. Okay, so now let's switch to 4. And then in this guy, we just have a couple extra things added. I don't think it's useful to go back through all that. Although, did it crash? No, it didn't. Okay. Here in this next step, all we're doing is going through the multiple breakpoints. And what's powerful about Tailwind is your configuration. I want to make sure I have the correct file open. So we have our Tailwind configuration file here. And this is a boilerplate Tailwind configuration. In this, we can do a lot of, we can override things. We can completely kill everything that's existing and replace it with our own. In this example here, I'm setting inside of what would be the theme, I'm setting custom breakpoints for our screens. And you can think of it as min width 640 pixels in this case, etc. So here we have themes and we have screens. In other examples, you could have theme and then colors. You could have themes and a whole bunch of other things. Let me grab a more detailed version. Okay, check it out. Okay, and then in this guy.
those. And then, so here's another example. So so in addition to breakpoints, we can add in variants. So so this part here is a little bit, well, here, we'll say it this way. So variants, this is a term used to describe like hover effects or your focus, or in this case, your active. Inside the Tailwind config, this is read by your Webpack build, whatever it is that you have, and used within PostCSS. And this is the specific set of instructions for Tailwind, so it knows what it's doing. What I'm telling Tailwind to do is add in the active variant so that when you go into my documents, and let's make it so we can see it. Oh, geez, that's silly. Let's go see. Oh, okay. I think I killed it. Yeah, I did. Yeah, I killed it. Okay, that's fine. Anyway, when you click a button, it has that active state for a second. So I'm actually turning that on because it was off by default. It was off by default because Tailwind isn't including everything in the build, because including everything would make it, you know, beyond the 4 megabytes that it was out of the box. However, with Tailwind version 2, this is not the way it is anymore, I don't believe. I think this one may be turned on by default. They, out of the box, they excluded a lot of extra variants just so that they could keep the build size, the boilerplate build size down. However, with version 2, it kind of builds on the fly, so it's not so much of a concern. But let's step through that one more. So okay, check out step 6. And then let's go to this guy, and I can show you an even greater version of. So this is not a version of the Tailwind config used in this project. This is just kind of an example of how far you can take Tailwind and all the really, really intricate stuff you can get into. So I've kind of set up my own breakpoints here. I even have some custom methods, some custom functions in here. I was talking a little bit about Tailwind version 2, and Tailwind version 2 has this like really, really awesome thing called JIT, or I forget what the heck the acronym is, but anyway, JIT works like, let's see if I can go to my dude here. Well, version 2 has this, so you can say, say we want to add a custom style to this class, and I can, oh, I forget the syntax for it. Yeah, just in time mode. That's what I was looking for. Okay. So anyway, JIT can make it so that it's just in time mode, makes it so that the build doesn't have to be that large out of the box, and they can actually include everything that you want, is kind of what I was getting at. But the other thing is really dope that they have is, so for instance, if I'm on this body element and I want to have this very custom style of saying that let's pretend that this body element is positioned absolutely, and I want to set it to the top,
but negative 113 pixels. And I only want it at a certain breakpoint. Tailwind reads this as a custom class that you just built right for that one element, just in in this one specific spot. And it is really, really dope. So essentially it says, it reads just like a CSS rule. The top on medium screens is going to equal 113 pixel, a negative 113 pixels. And I didn't have to go into my CSS file and actually write this out. It just built it when it compiled. Anyway, it's this within Tailwind 2.0 is like such a dope game changer and makes it way easier to kind of curate all of your CSS files. A lot of your CSS, past writing CSS would be like a whole bunch of small component files, and then maybe you'll just keep like a big glob of all these one-off rules that you have every once in a while. But this makes it so that you can just put everything right there, and you don't have any of these weird hanging CSS bits that just stick in your project forever. It's really nice. Anyway, we can go to okay. So the other thing that I want to show you with the CSS would be the with Tailwind. Is using the @apply. So so this again is another one of those native CSS things, but it doesn't have a whole lot of browser support. It's still kind of experimental, but it's supported through PostCSS, and essentially it's very straightforward. All it's doing is gathering up all of your classes and appending. It's very similar to Sass and using extend. It just puts all the classes right into underneath one class. And so how I've used it inside of my styles is on a button. And so the button has all of this Tailwind business that says, here's the button primary. And these two guys are shared classes. So button is up there, button is down here. And what that looks like is, the shared class, everybody gets a focus with an outline of none, etc., and all that business. And it wraps it up in a nice little bow and puts it underneath this .btn class for me. You'll notice that I'm putting it under Tailwind layers, or I'm sorry, Tailwind components. I'm just making it a component. The order of how you include your components or your Tailwind includes just kind of matters so that you're not overriding anything. You want to be cognizant of that because it is CSS, and of course, whatever's at the bottom kind of takes precedent. So anyway, that is including everything within an @rule is just a way to clean up your styles, compose your styles. However, as I was saying at the very beginning, Tailwind is it's meant to be composed as all these large strings of class names all in line. It's not actually recommended to build components like this, just because the thought is we want it to be readable and maintainable through for each of the developers, so that there's transparency and you can see exactly what is going on there. Let me switch to, okay, so now
I'm going to go to optimizing Tailwind for production. So I got to go to this dude. Check it out. Okay, so now npm install, switch projects again. Okay, so now again I'm using Vite or Vite or however you say it to build my dude here. I have my Tailwind specifically configured config file. We can get rid, well, we'll keep that guy open for a second. Okay, so I still only have in my project this HTML file. This isn't a React project. I'm not doing anything fancy. However, if I was, even if I was using like PHP or Ruby, whatever it is, in my configuration file, when I'm compiling everything for production, this is kind of the magic behind Tailwind. I will tell it what files that they need to search for, and as it. So I've just given it the glob of HTML. Everything HTML, go through, parse through that, and find. So it's going to read over everything inside this class attribute, and it's going to look for anything that looks like a Tailwind class name, and it's going to include only those inside of the CSS that's compiled into these guys. It's going to trim out all of the other CSS that is not needed. And that's crazy important for keeping Tailwind really, really tiny. So whereas in the beginning, this thing was like 4 megabytes, once we build it, we can get it down to really, really tiny file size, just a few kilobytes. And, you know, like I was saying, that makes it really, really, really easy to drop it into any project and slowly migrate toward only using Tailwind. I wonder. If it's going to work this time. Yeah, there it is. Okay, so there's that. This is the fancified version of what we were looking at before, with some kind of like you know, cool special effects on there. I haven't gotten really too heavy into this, so everything that I'm doing here is pretty darn easy. It didn't take me long at all to put that together either. But it is a really nice slick tool to do. So we can look at this a little bit further, and the things that I'm extending in this version, I'm adding in my own primary and secondary colors. So in Tailwind, primary is not a is not a color. So BG-primary light, that doesn't exist within Tailwind proper. I've added that as my own named color, and I've defined it in 3 ways. So you have a light, you have the default, which is just primary, and then you have a dark version. And I get to say exactly what those colors are.
and so so it's here. You can see that this is BG primary light. It's BG dash color name dash color modifier or scale, I guess you could say. And so whenever I add anything to colors, I know that it's going to build out the BG of that. It's also going to build out the text of that and anything else that goes along with it. It builds it all out. But when I build for production, not only is it going to scour through my HTML, but it'll also look over my CSS and any classes that I've used in here, and it will also include those in the final build of my Tailwind CSS files. So I mean, also I did the font family. I made it so that I have a custom font family that this is being taken from Google Fonts. Okay, so I think that's that. We can actually run this, I guess. I never did that. So run build real fast. So this may take a second. And there it goes. And then what it outputs. So I just, so within Vite, Vite, whatever the heck it is, within Vite.js, however you want to say it, it has its own build commands and preview and just regular dev. And this is all, you know, it's using Webpack to do everything. But its output here, so it, you know, it has it set up to where it's going to add in the hash and all the other nice frills to it. But what this was able to get it down to was 24 kilobytes. So pretty darn small file size from 14 megabytes. And yeah, so I mean, that's really slick. That's a very easy way to drop that into any existing project. 24 kilobytes is nothing. Okay, so now let's dig a little bit further into the theming of this guy. Okay, so so theming. What I mean by theming is like the actual CSS or styles themed, right? And so what I've done here is a pretty simple setup to show light mode and dark mode. And so let me run the development version really fast. And let me try to redo that. Maybe I'll just build it. I wonder if I need a preview. Preview? Don't fail. Okay. So then we go to my dude here again. Okay. And so in my CSS, I included a dude here that says, feel like that's not actually showing what I want it to show. Yeah, that is not working. Okay. I will monkey with that later. What's more important is that within my class body, I have the theme web geeks on there, right? And so you can see within my CSS, what I've done is I'm writing all of this within the base layer. And I have my root level CSS variables that I'm describing here. And then I have those same variables rewritten underneath a different class. So if theme WebGeeks is present, we use these variables instead of these variables. And so these variables are defined in this guy. So let's go look at color text. So so again, if you remember how I created a brand new class called primary, here I'm creating a brand new skin, base, or headline, and then subhead. Then down here I've got app, and for each one of these, whereas before we were saying this is the light, this is the default, this is the dark, and they have hard-coded values of a hexadecimal color. Here I can say their values are defined within my CSS, and they're variables, and the variables are defined at the root level, and I can toggle them out with the addition or however you remove this that class, maybe through JavaScript or something. But anyway, that's a slick way to implement a theme for like a fake dark mode. They do have out of the box a dark mode setting, which is turned off by default. So what this would do is if I enable that and then rebuild everything, that would take all the existing classes within Tailwind that define color and duplicate them. So that would bloom your library out huge. You know, if it's 4 megabytes already and you have a dark mode that you're supporting, it's, you know, way higher than that. So not really worth doing out of the box for sure. Okay, so the other things I wanted to get into, the last thing I wanted to get into was plugins. And Tailwind plugins, the further way, or the way to really get into customizing this and kind of sharing code and the more modular aspect of modifying Tailwind would be through your plugins. Here I have a config file with you know, lots of different variants, and I'm really kind of pushing the plugin concept further here. So a plugin, let's see, there's a really good example with aspect ratio. And actually, Tailwind Forms is another good example. It's another plugin that just, so base Tailwind doesn't give you any out-of-the-box form styles. You need to either write those yourself, or you can include a Tailwind plugin that actually adds form styles for you. Here's another Tailwind plugin that adds an aspect ratio for you. I don't know if anybody's familiar, or if anybody has ever built or written CSS to support like an iframe, maybe an iframe that holds a video, and you need
the iframe to kind of proportionally act like an image does. You know, it's not too terribly difficult in CSS, but when it's a mundane thing that you have to do all the time, it's nice to have a plugin that you can just amend your version of Tailwind to including all these extra classes for you. And so out of the box, Tailwind does not have any of this. So you would just install npm install Tailwind aspect ratio, and then you now have access to all of these extra classes. You can take Tailwind further so we talked about variants a little bit earlier, where a variant might be the hover state or a focus state or an active state. You can also add whatever variants you want. And you can, so here, this is area selected. I might be working with a JavaScript file that will toggle I don't know, an accordion menu, and I want to add area tags so that my my HTML markup is very semantic and accessible. And so this will build out all those extra classes for me. And just like I was saying before, to where if I'm creating a new color, you know, color primary, that builds the text color, the BG color, etc. That builds everything. Same with variants. It builds out all these other classes for me. And I can even write in methods in here or functions so that I can customize this even further and kind of have it do whatever I want. So I think that's actually all the cool things I have to show off for Tailwind. We went through a lot of them there, and oh yeah, I'm on the wrong dude. Let me go here. I'm curious what your opinions of Tailwind are, if anybody's worked with Tailwind, what you kind of think right off the bat. I'll tell you my first, when Tailwind first came out, I was desperately searching for some kind of utility first CSS framework. I was not happy at all with a lot of the other frameworks that were out there, like Bulma. It just did not work for me. And like the utilities that Bootstrap eventually started to support just were not enough. But then when Tailwind first came out, I thought it was great, but I didn't exactly know how I would work this into my development workflow. After writing for Tailwind, like the amount of actual CSS that I write anymore has decreased a bit, which I don't like because I do like writing CSS, but composing it is still kind of fun. So I don't know. I really think any project you start in the future should definitely use Tailwind anymore. I think it's a much better solution than most of the frameworks out there, or even writing your own. Cool. I don't know. Does anybody have any thoughts or questions? Can open it up. If not,
oh, you covered a lot of the things I was going to ask about responsiveness and making it extensible, and yeah, that was a great overview. I appreciate it.
Cool. Yeah, I'm curious how many of y'all use Tailwind.
Yeah. Is anybody out there? I don't know if you can like show of hands, but or maybe do like the little silly hand emojis or whatever you want to do. But anybody have any? Michael, you use it. Does anybody else use it? What do you guys think about it? No, is it pretty new to the majority of y'all?
I've wanted to use it. I tried to use it with Angular when I was back on an Angular team and making Angular projects, but instead I started learning React and doing styled components. And that's what all my teams have been doing since. So I haven't really had the opportunity or taken the opportunity to learn it.
And honestly, I'd say I even dig this beyond styled components. Styled components kind of like have put me into some holes that I'm not a fan of. I don't like some of the things that I've had to do with styled components, but Tailwind has just been very, very easy to drop into a lot of projects. I say that, but I actually am on a project right now, a Ruby on Rails project, and for the life of me, I cannot get Tailwind working on it. I can't stand the front end. Front end in Ruby on Rails is not fun. I do not like it. I hate ERB. I can't stand their fake JavaScript stuff. But whatever. That's for next month. Evidently, we're going to get into Ruby, so maybe that'll come up.
Yeah, save your rants for next month. I can't wait to hear more.
Yeah.
I mean, I work in Rails most every day.
Yeah.
And we have just a few Vue components, and we're talking about Tailwind. Like I've been aware of it, since the beginning, and it always looked a little noisy, but like this really helped because it's like, even though it is maybe a tad noisier from what we're used to, if you did have to go change a bunch of stuff because whatever your company changed colors, it's like the hardest thing you would do is just search and replace, right? Like that isn't as bad as I was thinking. And if you did the apply stuff, it's like, okay, that becomes easier. Yep. Like it didn't look like I was scared of it, and now it's like, okay, that doesn't seem so bad. Like I'd be willing to try it on something. But since our main app is an old Rails app, or a little bit too old for our taste, I'm kind of now wondering whether we'll get it working. So
yeah, and so it's probably possible. I'm sure it is. I guarantee it is. It's just the issue that I ran up against is Rails has its own version of Webpacker, and I just cannot stand the way they implemented some things in that because it doesn't give me the control that I want, even though it supposedly does. So whatever, those are my hangups. I'm pretty sure it's possible to do. But I will say to the point you brought up, like I've done this to where I was on a Tailwind project where I had to swap out fonts. I had to swap out styles for like headings across the entire site. And how I typically write CSS is I try my hardest to say, okay, this is a heading font and it is universally the same. And so you just have to change the CSS behind it and you don't have to touch the class. The project that implemented Tailwind in the way they did not dry their code. There was a whole lot of duplication everywhere. And so I was doing, like you said, and kind of like, hunting for, search and find for one a class that might have like text heading, text LG, text 2XL, text font, text, it had all these classes and it was kind of a huge pain. It is much easier if you can use the apply rule and compose all of your CSS. That makes it super slick and there really aren't any issues if you're doing that. Or if you are making everything as a component and really staying faithful to that, then it's super simple. Then it's just like you're dealing with normal CSS, except it's a tiny bit easier than your run-of-the-mill CSS. It makes curating your code in the long run a lot simpler. Another thing that I found too was with the config file. So
I would include like the font used through all the CSS. I called it, some very generic term, like this is your sans serif, this is your serif. And then, and so it's not specific like Roboto or whatever. Then when I'm swapping out the font later, that's even much easier, So keeping some things generic while keeping class names very specific on other things. So yeah, I don't know. The next thing that I really want to do is try and completely swap out my use of Bootstrap within a project and completely convert it to Tailwind. And I really, the way I have it in my head, I really don't think it'll be too big of an undertaking. It might be a slow process, but I think it might be possible. Yeah, it's been fun, I think. Okay, so thank you all for sitting through my talk. There is one other thing that we do at WebGeeks that you're totally welcome to stick around for if you want. So we try our hardest to be somewhat social. And so the next part of this is I am going to tyrannically split you up into groups. There'll be random groups and it's just going to happen. And I'm going to force you to stay in that group. Of course, you can bail out anytime you want, but for 3 minutes. And the hope is that just start, conversing like we used to do when we could all be in the same room together. If you need a topic idea, talk about Tailwind. That might be fun. Anything you guys want is totally cool. I'm gonna go a pretty easy 3 people to a room, so it won't be all that bad. And feel free to hop out at any time if you would like. It'll go for 3 minutes, and I'll have a timer going. So so have fun. There it goes. It's slowly happening now. And there it goes. Everybody is gone. I'm the only one. I'm not in a room with anybody else. I'm the odd man out. Okay, timer. Set a 3-minute timer now. God, why didn't my demo work? How annoying. What did I do wrong with the demo? You gotta be kidding me. NPM, you know what I'm gonna do? RF, -RF, node, modules, and lock. Get all that out of there. There's no log files. And now npm install. Okay. And then, so I've got this, and now, why can't I run dev build? Why is it, no, dev. What did I do wrong that npm run dev is not working? Guess what? It is working. Ugh. Yeah, there it goes. Man, everything's working now. I don't know what I did. I must have, I needed to remove the node modules folder. What a bummer. Man, that sucks. Oh well. Oy. It's because at the beginning I used the yarn install, I think is the problem. All right, how are we doing on our timer? We got 1:30 left. And everybody stuck around. How fun.
what a bummer. That really annoys me that didn't work. I got confused on my my windows. 30 seconds left. Okay, time to call everyone back. Close all rooms. Oh yeah, it gives them 60 more seconds. I forgot about that. All right, welcome back.
Gosh, we're the first back.
Yeah. All right. Well, hopefully that was not too bad. All right, y'all. I want to thank everybody very much for joining us. It's been a lot of fun. If you're interested in checking out future events, hit us up at dsmwebgeeks.com. We do something the second Monday of every month. Oh yes, and I should also mention, I stream these events on twitch.com/dsmwebgeeks. I try my hardest to post that on our DSM Web Geeks Twitter feed, but I will do better. And okay, thank you all for coming again. Join us next month to talk about Ruby. I won't be speaking. It'll be somebody much smarter than me. So hopefully that entices you to come back. All right, bye, y'all.
See ya.
Bye.